The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our software automation webinar series. I'm Courtney Scott, a customer account manager for Acumatica in the Midwest region, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all today. Today, I'll be joined by Seth Kuhn, Acumatica sales engineer, and he will be walking you through the top 5 features in Acumatica that you should be using. Just a few housekeeping items. All lines will be muted during the presentation, and we will be recording and distribute the webinar to you in just a few days for your convenience. And if you have any questions, please type in the chat box at the bottom of your GoToWebinar sidebar and then hit send question to staff at any time during the webinar. Without further ado, let's get started with our presentation.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. Like Courtney said, this is Seth Kuhn. I'm a Acumatica sales engineer at SWK, and I'm going to be taking us through what we think is five of the more underutilized features in Acumatica. Obviously, it's a very capable software framework. You could do a lot with it, but just in doing the different implementations and client visits or customer visits we've done, we've seen these somewhat underutilized. But we will be taking some polls today on each section to see if we're right about that. So. Please do be honest, for statistics' sake. But so to start, before we get into the 5 things, we always like to feature an ISV, just to, I know it's hard for you guys to stay on top of all the different ISVs out there and everything. So I'm actually going to be showing you guys, I won't spend a ton of time on it, but I'm going to be showing you Velixo reports today. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but Gabriel Michaud was a programmer at Acumatica. He did a lot of the keynotes and demonstrations, and he left Acumatica a couple of years ago, went off on his own, and he built this it's essentially a tool to allow you to write financial reports in Excel, and it's pretty slick. Part of what makes it possible is that the back end of Acumatica is SQL, right? So there's a strong connection to Microsoft. So it's using that OData technology that allows you to download to Excel. It's using that same technology. So why don't we jump in there? So I'm going to go right into Excel. Okay. So here is, I had to practice a little bit earlier. So when you download Velixo reports, and if any of you have any questions about Velixo reports or interested, please talk to Courtney afterward. We'd be happy to get you guys pricing or whatever. It's actually really not that expensive, all things considered. But so you'll see up here that you get an Acumatica tab within Excel. Okay, so one of the first things you're going to do when you get it is you need to connect to your Acumatica instance. Okay, so I've connected to the demo instance I'm using. You'll put in, this is any kind of name you want to use. You're going to use it throughout the spreadsheet in the different fields. You put in the URL, your tenant, the tenant that you want to connect to, and then the login information. You can use multiple tenants and you can use multiple instances. I'm only going to be using one today, though. Cancel, I'm already connected. So let's start with a blank. I'm going to start with a blank document here. And to start, I'm just going to kind of do the most basic things, and I'm going to insert my chart of accounts. So it's going to ask me which connection I want to use. I only have that one. And it's going to pull in all of the chart of accounts I have on that instance, okay? So then from there, I'm going to pull in the account name, and the Velixo comes with a number of these little actions. These, I don't know why I call them little, but they're actions that you can use much like other Excel functions. So you can use account classes too. I don't know how many of you use those, but those are really helpful in your financial report writers, so that if you add a new account, if you assign it a class, it'll automatically get added to reports. But I'm going to use the actual account names today. And you'll notice it has this little prompt here that it's asking me for it's highlighting or making embolding and making bold the different information I need to put in. So the connection, and don't forget these double quotations, I'll tell you, is the name of the connection, right? So I had that one connection, I named it demo, you can name it whatever you want. And then when I hit the comma, it's gonna move down to the account. Now, the account is right over here in column B, right? So I'm gonna add that, and then I'm just gonna close it out. And there it is, it's gonna pull in the account name. This is all coming right from Acumatica, right? I'm just gonna go down this far, but of course you could go the whole way, kind of autofill there. And now I'm gonna bring in my, let's bring in the balances, right? So again, I'm gonna go equal account ending balance tab. And then here there's a few more, you'll see in the prompt, there's a little bit more information I need to give. Go in my connection, again, double quotes, can't reiterate that enough. And then it's gonna be my actual ledger. You could use a statistical ledger if you wanted to, or a budget ledger, but I'm using actual. Account class, I'm not using that right now, so I can actually just do another comma and skip it. It'll just, it won't use that as a criteria. The account is the account number over here. I could specify particular sub-accounts if I wanted to, as well as specific branches. And then I do need to specify a period. Again, double quotations. We'll try 2017. Yeah, thanks. Oh, maybe I didn't. So the quotes, you see the quotations I didn't have in the right place. All right, so there we go. So it'll say NA to start, and then it's just kind of calculating that. It takes a second. There it is. It just pulled in this, petty cash ending balance for December 2017. So I can just drag and drop that down, and then it's going to pull in those accounts. So what's really nice is I'm already on my way to building a report here. Natural account name, and then balance. And probably I want to format this as accounting. So I've just kind of done the basics here. You do need to build these kind of yourself to start. But I'm going to show you guys some examples of what you get to kind of in no time. Here we've got some profit and loss, cash flow statement. And so, with a little bit of formatting, a little bit of, Excel magic, and then pulling in those balances, you could have financial reports in Excel pretty quick. One really nice feature that's important to highlight. So you'll see when I right click, I have this drill down to Acumatica. I also have it up here in the Acumatica tab, because of course we can already download reports, financial reports to Excel from Acumatica. One of the key differentiators here is that I can actually drill down into the activity, right? So I'm going to use this button here, but again, you could use that right click if you wanted to. And it's going to bring me to this tab that's giving me the information, the details of what populated that number, right? So I've got my branches, the period, sub accounts, and then I can click on view transactions if I actually want to see more information about this. It will open up the instance, the connection, the instance that is in my connection in the Acumatica tab. And there I have all the details of that number. So pretty slick, pretty helpful. A couple of the other features that I just wanted to highlight. So you can, this does connect to the project module as well. So if you wanted to, if you're running the project module, you can also pull that data in. Those are, I think, different tables. So it's connected to those and has some more functionality. You can also use this for budgeting. So you'll see here that I have a GL write-back and a budget write-back. Because budgets in Acumatica are ledgers, I can simply, when I do this budget write-back, it will create, it'll import a new ledger for me. So you'll see these numbers are, I can manipulate these just like Excel document, and then I can import the budget back. From a GL write-back perspective, probably the most common use cases for this would be allocations you might want to do for insurance, or the like. So you could have your different branches and different accounts. This is using this number to do a little bit of math. It's just, half of that. So is that one. You can specify that you want it to if you want it to auto release. Specify your currency, which ledger, which branch, and then you just import the current worksheet. It's going to create a new batch. And it's taking me right to the GL screen where it has the details of that transaction, of that batch that I created. So it's pretty nice. I could come back next month, and if it's the same allocation calculation, or if I want to modify it a little bit, I could just import that right back. Comes in on hold, and then I could just release it if I wanted to. One of the last features I'll talk about is the distribution. So these reports often are not just for your own peace of mind, but they need to be shared with other people, right? So when you create a new distribution list, it's going to give you this form. And here's where you can specify the format of the report. So we can say I want it to be Excel, but take out the formulas, or just the whole thing, or a PDF. You specify what you want the report to be named, and then you pick the tab from down here that you want to use. Or if you don't specify one, it'll send everything. So that's why I have the consolidated financials there. Here I've specified a path on my computer that I want to use. So that would be especially helpful for something like Dropbox, something like that. But it'll just basically save the file to the computer locally. Here I can specify an email. I want it to get emailed, what I want the subject to be, as well as the email body. And I believe you can also specify a particular period if you want to. You also have the option of specifying a file password if you want that to be secure and protected. So that's Velixa reports in a nutshell. If you've seen Gabrielle's presentation, you're probably like, he did the same thing, but without the sexy accent. But if you have any questions, like I said, please let Courtney or myself know, and we'd be happy to get you more information about this. I think this is it's really exciting if you're in accounting, and if you're not, it's like, oh, okay. But with that said, let's jump into our 5 things that we feel are underutilized. We do want to keep this. I don't want to take up a ton of your time, especially if this is your lunch break. So hopefully we can keep this to like 30, 35 minutes or so. So let's pull up our presentation here. You guys seeing my presentation?
Yes, I think we can see it. I see Wiki articles are your
cool.
SOPs in Acumatica.
Yes, cool. Thank you. So the first area that I think I'm a little bit more of a preacher, get up on my soapbox about this. But as you're probably aware, if you're using Acumatica, you have a number of Wiki articles that come out of the box with Acumatica, right? They're kind of stock articles. But really, the advantage I feel like it gives you is it provides an opportunity for you to put in all your standard operating procedures, your SOPs, or anything you might want to communicate with, with others in your organization, right? We're trying to get away from email as much as we can, and so one of these ways we can do this is to use the Wiki articles. So one of the things I did was I added to the shipment screen. I went in and I added a YouTube video. So, Acumatica, it's a website, right? You've got an HTML, full HTML editor. So on the shipment screen, I came in and I embedded Doug at Acumatica's YouTube video about, the shipping enhancements in 2018 R2. But this could be how your particular organization handles shipments, right? We could also have a diagrams. Maybe we're in purchasing and we want to specify, if you're requesting a purchase that's over $5,000, it has to go through this approval process, just so you know. So it allows people, especially with the way that Acumatica has built it, to be relatively self-sufficient, right? Because if they're on the shipment screen, I don't really know what all these things are. I can pull up the procedures and concepts, the form reference, but I can also see, get the kind of the wisdom from my managers and other employees even. Hey, I know that if somebody else was to be onboarded or be in my position, these are the things they need to see, and they can either, add them to the article, or they could send them to somebody who has the right permissions, right? Because not everybody has the right permissions to modify the wikis. So I think I'd like to do our first poll if we could. Who has, to what extent are you using the wikis? Have you not using them, but have you customized the wikis to fit your organization? So we got a poll open. Again, honesty is always appreciated. We'll just give that a second. All right, so it looks like the poll is closed there. So let's move on to our second item here, and the second item is dashboards and workflows. Okay, Acumatica, as they've come out with more and more releases, has increased the level of. If you're not on the most recent version here, I'll pop open some of these dashboards. So some of these might look familiar. But I think one in particular that's pretty nice is this customer view. So you can, especially if there's salespeople, you can pull up the customers that you want to take a look at. You can modify these charts on the fly. As far as I don't need to see those two items, and then it's giving me more of a maybe more helpful view of the chart. And then and you'll see down here that I was talking to these guys earlier, and here's a PDF I pulled from their website. But you'll notice that it's a catalog, and I can actually cycle through these different pages and even click on the different items. It might take me to get more information about that product on their website. So if you even think about having your employee handbook or different catalogs or different things that you want to communicate to people, you want people to have easy access to, there's a lot of possibilities, on the dashboard. So we tend to see that people don't, are just kind of going off of what's there. Typically during implementation, we do modify these a little bit, but they are very easy to edit yourselves. And you can, if you have the right permissions. For this one, again, it was just it's one of those embedded widgets. So I just pasted the source and gave it a caption, and it pulled it right in there. But you have a number of different widget options there. I've seen the wiki pages used for if you want to broadcast a message to people, right? So if you have certain holiday hours, or you want people to know something that happened in the company, you can use those wiki pages to kind of communicate. As people come in on their dashboard, they'll see those messages. For the YouTube one, I did want to show you how I was able to do that as well. So let me actually pull up YouTube. So if we go, so if you pull up any, some of these videos are rather old. Whoa, easy. So let me actually search Acumatica. And here's those shipping enhancements one that I embedded. So you basically just pull this, click on the share icon, and then you can, if you go embed, it's going to give you the iframe and the HTML. All you have to do is copy this, and then go back to the wiki page that you want to do, and then with the pencil icon. I know it can be kind of overwhelming looking at all this. It's it's HTML, but here I just pasted that iframe straight from YouTube, so pretty easy to do, even though you have to be scared with all this code. But so then what you can do is you can pull these the wiki pages onto the dashboards to show videos on the dashboards if you want, or like I said, you have the catalogs here. So again, quick poll, just want to see who's using these, who's customized their dashboards, and also who's customized. So these flows have come out of Acumatica has started adding where you can see the CRM flow from how leads come in, using the Outlook plugin or mobile or website, and the kind of flow that they go through. There's also a financial flow if we want to see how things get calculated. And from any of these screens, right, you can create these yourselves as well. You can they're hyperlinked, right? So we can go right into bills and invoices from this flow if we want to. Pull up a project flow, neat one. So again, think of it as a blank slate where you could really add whatever workflow diagrams you want, and people could, for the visual learners, people could quickly access those areas. Okay. So then the next item we wanted to review was notifications and emails. We have seen some customers who don't email invoices or sales orders out of the system, or invoices. So obviously, I think most of you probably know that you can do that. But I did also want to show you that you can also set up notifications on any of the screens if you want to stay on top of different things. So here's where under the actions, if you set up the email, you've set up internal email in Acumatica, you can easily email invoices out of the system. And if I want to stay up to date or get a notification based on this screen, by coming in here, going to notifications and clicking new, it's pulled in the screen ID based on where I was. And I'm going to say I want to get a notification when there's bills over, let's say $1,000. So it's active, and then I'm going to specify the conditions. So here's where I would specify the amount is greater than 1,000 or 99. I could, you could add other conditions if you wanted to. If you wanted it to be only for certain vendors, right? Maybe vendor is between certain parameters, ID parameters, or starts with a certain alphanumeric thing. So you've got some different criteria you can do there, and then it will, anytime someone has a bill over $1,000, then it'll send you a notification, send you an email with that, letting you know to go take a look. In general, I also wanted to talk about this idea of, so you have a number of processes in Acumatica, right? Things you want to do kind of in bulk, right? So let's say I want to release AR docs or print invoices. as the automation in Acumatica gets more sophisticated, you can imagine using the scheduling to release documents on a schedule, say every 30 minutes or whatever. But that's scary, right? So what you can do is you can combine that with an approval workflow where everything automatically releases and posts, and if there's errors, you'll see that. But over time, you could refine that. And but when it releases, then you get you have to approve it, right? So then instead of processing everything, you're actually just approving things. And then if there's a problem with anything, you can reject it, right? And provide a reason or provide a note. But then over time, that would get more and more kind of polished and sophisticated to where you really just kind of have to approve things, and then maybe even certain people could approve certain types of things, and you can just be sitting on a beach drinking a Mai Tai. So using the scheduling with the approvals and also the notifications off of the fields, I think is going to be very interesting in the years to come, especially as Acumatica employs more of that in artificial intelligence to kind of help people autofill the sub accounts and accounts based off of certain information, based off of patterns. So is anybody, and then let me say before we start the poll, there's also the idea of using internal email accounts, okay, right? So probably I would imagine most of you have one email account set up at least to be able to send stuff out, but you also have you have some options in here. You can really have as many internal email accounts as you want. So if you want to have a customer service email account and when emails come in, they get routed certain ways, you can have an accounting one or even an accounts payable one. You really can set up as many of these email accounts as you want for incoming and outgoing mail. You can also specify it that you want it to be only a specific folder, right? So if I want to use my personal, I can even use my personal email, but I only want it to use a specific folder, then you can do that as well. So here's where I could have the assignment, using the assignment and approvals, and I could have things kind of route based on this email. I don't know if your minds are going with any kind of different emails that you think you can picture setting up in here, but you can use work groups and assignments to route those emails. So let's just take the poll real quick and see how many people are using notifications and let's say more than one email account. And we'll leave the approvals with scheduled processes out of it for now. All right, and so then the next item we wanted to discuss was approvals, but approvals outside of AP, right? So AP is a pretty common place we see approvals. If it's over $500, got to go here. If it's over, $2,000, it's got to go through this two-step process. But we wanted to talk about using approvals outside of AP. So I wanted to show you guys just an example of that. And I think one thing to keep in mind that I think is interesting is that where you set up the approvals is actually called assignment and approvals, right? So assignments and approvals both work off of the company tree that you set up. So on the assignment side, think of leads coming in, right? We got leads coming from Outlook or lists or the website or the mobile app. And when they come in, regardless of who puts them in, they're going to get routed based on regional or a regional area, right? So someone has a region of Southeast, then they're going to get assigned that lead. So you have assignments in that, right? But then we also have approvals, in the sales order module. If you think about people salespeople entering sales orders that might have, really steep discounts, right? They just want to get the sale, so they discounted it, 50%. Or if we just want to keep track of orders that are over $10,000. So there's a lot of opportunity here again to keep track of things kind of on the fly and kind of keep people in check and have the checks and balances in place to either stop people from abusing the system, or just kind of keep an eye on things. And even maybe if there's orders over 10K, maybe we want to give people a gift card, or give them a pat on the back, keep up the good work. So this is one example of an approval in the sales order module. So real quickly, let's just take another poll. How many people are actually using assignments and approvals outside of accounts payable? And I just have to switch over to another network for the last item. Okay. So being very brave here and showing my actual phone. And so our last item that we're going to discuss is using the mobile app, right? So you guys may be aware that Acumatica on this latest version actually even added light WMS, where you can even scan in goods from your mobile device if you have the right scanner on there. You'll also notice, I didn't realize for a long time, I feel like an idiot, but if you turn the phone on the side, it gives you a different row layout. So let's just hop in there. So I'm using an iPhone today. I actually already, when I actually log in, I was already logged in. So I can use my fingerprint. If you are in the latest technology, you could also use a facial recognition. And then you can, as an organization, you can decide what you want to extend to the mobile app. Obviously, the same user roles with access rights and permission extend to the mobile app. But here you can see I have a number of different things I could do. I could do my employee time card, but maybe you don't want people doing that on the mobile app because they might be on their couch. I could enter, requests if I need, I need a new computer, or I need a new phone because this one's taking too long and the battery keeps going down so fast. They could submit a request, from here. So here's that plus. It's getting pushed down a little bit on my computer because I'm using my hotspot, but here's where you could have somebody come in and request whatever it might be. I need new office equipment. I need a new stapler. I need a new red stapler. You can do that. One of the places we see it, the app used quite a bit, is for again for those approvals. So imagine using that processing, and you're going to rely on yourself to approve and reject things, and now you have the approvals on your mobile device, right? You could be anywhere, just kind of making sure that things are processing correctly on the schedule that you've set. Expense receipts are a big area. So if I'm going to take a picture here of my expense receipt. So here's where you can use the non-stock items to help people who don't know the GL accounts they should use or the sub accounts. I just know that I had lunch. That's all I need to know. You can put in the amount, 38.72. Maybe somebody was with me, maybe not. You know, maybe I was just having a nice lunch. Maybe that'll get rejected by my manager. So then on the Files tab, here's where I could add a file from my pictures if I wanted to. So sometimes I like to on the go, I just take pictures of my receipts and throw them away because supposedly you're more likely to get cancer the more receipts you touch or something. So that's what my wife tells me. So I could add a file from my camera roll, or I could take a picture here. And then I can drag these blue lines and I can hit next. It's going to give me some options on the quality of the picture. So if I don't need the best quality necessarily, right? That's fine. Probably even easier for accounting to read. So I save that. I might also take a photo of the person I'm with if I'm concerned I might get a question about it. And then I can just save that. So I didn't have to know a whole lot. I just knew I chose lunch. I took a picture. I entered an amount, and then with the expense receipts roll up to expense claims, also known as expense reports. And so you can claim all here, or you could go to your expense claims and you could pull in which receipts you want to use. Another feature that I think could probably be used more is the tasks in Acumatica. So, we're always trying to get out of our email as much as we can. That's why there's things like Slack and so on. But here, I could see any tasks that have been assigned to me on different, in any area of Acumatica, really, you can assign tasks to people to look at things, or, from a CRM perspective, give somebody a call, or, take out the trash, whatever it is. So you can assign tasks to people. How many people are using the mobile app on a, we'll just say regular basis, whatever that means to you? You can also extend the dashboards to the mobile app. It does take a little bit of configuration, so if you need any help with that, just let us know. But it's pretty neat to see some different tiles, and you can qualify those tiles as if there's a warning or a problem, or if everything's good and green. All right, well, it looks like the poll's over. So those are my our 5 things that we tend to see underutilized. If you have any questions about any of that, or need any help, or disagree, please feel free to send me an email. And also, I think I'll kick it back to Courtney from here.
Great, Seth. Thank you so much. There was so much great information packed into that presentation. You guys, before we begin the Q&A, if you do have any additional questions, like Seth mentioned, you feel free to email him or myself. You can reach me at courtney.scott@swktech.com. Now let's head over to Q&A and see if we have any questions. All right, Seth, you might, maybe you're seeing something that I'm not seeing, but do you see any questions coming up?
No, I think I'm just that thorough.
I think so too. You did such a great job.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, you guys, if there's no questions that we have for right now, that concludes our webinar for today. Thank you so much for attending, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks, everybody.